Sam Okus, Editor-in-Chief of Nation's Restaurant News, here with Robin Robeson, the COO of Modern Restaurant Concepts. Robin, thank you for joining us today.
You're welcome.
Tell us a little bit about Modern Restaurant Concepts. What's the story of this company?
Modern Restaurant Concepts is an umbrella for two brands. We operate Modern Market Eatery, and that's in Colorado, Arizona, Texas, and we have some licensed partnerships in airports and on the campus at Notre Dame. And then Lemonade is a California-based brand. All of it is better for you food, and we have 19 locations in California for Lemonade and a licensed partner at LAX.
These are both fast casual concepts.
Fast casual concepts.
And how have they been doing in the last couple of years? I mean, I feel like they're the kind of concepts that were probably well set up for the pandemic, but tell me how things have been going.
Yeah, actually we've emerged from the pandemic really, really strong, Sam. We really optimized our digital platforms prior to the pandemic, so not intending to be ready, but we were ready for the pandemic. So we're still largely off-prem with our digital platforms. It's a huge piece of our business.
Okay.
And our guests love it. They love the convenience of it for both of our brands.
How important is digital to the brands and digital tools using to power that experience?
Yeah, I think digital is definitely what the guests want, right? They've expressed that during the pandemic. They want it convenient, they want it brought to them, or they want to be able to have a seamless experience by coming in and picking up the order themselves.
Right.
So I think digital is of utmost experience.
I remember when both of these brands really got their start, 10 years ago or so, and both were so innovative, still are.
Yep.
But how would you define innovation today, especially from an operational standpoint? How do you try to keep innovative?
Yeah, it's a really good question because I think that's the name of our company is Modern, right? So we always try to stay innovative with our food platforms, our culinary guardrails, our beverages, always introducing, even throughout the pandemic, new products throughout the pandemic to really incent and excite our guests and have something to speak with our guests about. But beyond that, just our technology innovation has been pretty amazing, not just with our digital platforms, but things that will make life easier for our operators, whether that's equipment, innovative equipment changes, or processes for our teams to make it easier to complete checklists, to complete their line checks. All of that I think is so important in today's industry.
You mentioned earlier about the importance of off-prem. What about on-prem? How important is the experience of these restaurants, and how do you make that something that, what is the experience, I guess, that you would define for each brand?
Yeah, I think it's changed, right, since the pandemic for both brands. We're not getting as many dine-in guests, although they are starting to come back for sure. So I think the experience for the guests expect fast casual, the name, right? So they expect fast, but especially on the Lemonade side, we have food out. We call it our jewel case. It's the beautiful food that guests can come in and see and be able to choose from. We've gone back to sampling finally, which is great. The guests can come in and sample different marketplace salads or our lovely truffle mac and cheese. So I think the experience is different at both brands, but still really important for the guests to be able to come in and get what they expect, whether that was an online experience a few months ago or being able to come in the front doors and have fast, delicious, healthy food.
Yeah. Thinking about I feel like this is one of the best times ever to run a restaurant for the sake of operationally the tools you have available to you, and it's simultaneously the worst time to run a restaurant because of the headwinds facing the industry. So I want to talk about that a little bit. Let's start with labor. How much has that been a challenge, and how are you overcoming?
Yeah, I think for anybody that you talk to, at least anybody I talk to that's an operator in this business, I think the top two challenges are labor and supply chain, right? Those are the big two, so to speak. So for labor, what I would say is that we owe it to our industry at large to make the business more attractive again. I think that a lot of people were furloughed, laid off, let go during the pandemic, and there's probably still some residual fear about entering back into the workforce, specifically into the restaurant industry. So I think we owe it to people to provide living wages, to provide flexible work hours for people, to create a really diverse and inclusive environment where our team and our guests feel welcome and feel included and enjoy coming to work and working with the people they work with. That's not to say that it hasn't been challenging. It absolutely has been.
Yeah.
So I think the other side of that coin is you also have to think about trusting your operators more than you ever have.
Yeah.
So if they have some no-shows on a shift and people don't show up, trusting them to make some really great decisions
Right.
along the way too, to either shut down a station or limit operating hours. I think you really have to trust people to do that.
You mentioned supply chain, obviously
Yeah.
that's another one, and with
Yeah.
inflation, but I imagine especially for you guys, I know you guys have really elevated food, so does that make it even harder then to the supply chain challenges? What do those look like for you?
Yeah, it's just something that's a fact of the business right now, and you have to be able to pivot really quickly depending on what's happening. And initially we thought it would just be more paper goods, but it has transcended to a lot of food products as well. So we just try to stay really nimble and aware and not deviate from our culinary guidelines of sustainability, healthy, clean ingredients. And it does make it harder, but our guests deserve that and they want that. They expect that of us. So sometimes we have to shut a menu item off if we can't get the right ingredient versus taking a subpar ingredient and including it.
Okay. So thinking about operations generally, how much have you tried to change the operations of these restaurants considering the last couple of years? Just again, you can have all these efficient tools to make the business run a lot more easily in some ways. Do you change what the operations looks like because of that, or have you emerged from the pandemic just same as what the concepts were before operationally speaking?
No, I think we've definitely taken the stance that, and this was prior to the pandemic, that we always need to evolve. We always need to be innovative. We need to make the work environment the best it can be for our teams, and thereby making it the best it can be for our guests. So we did a remodel at Lemonade and tested out some new line processes at Lemonade that we did late last summer. And it's proving to be something that there's bits and pieces of it that have worked really well that then we can go ahead and roll out to the entire brand. So continuing to be
Yeah.
innovative regardless of the situation, I think is paramount. I mean, walk around this whole show, right? And you see all this beautiful innovation. We have to be able to take that in and say which pieces are right for us to move our business forward.
All right, Robin, last question for you.
Yeah.
What's the opportunity ahead? What are you excited about? What are you looking at for modern restaurant concepts for the future?
We're so excited so prior to the pandemic, we started a franchise hunt at that point. And so the pandemic, instead of shutting us down, we chose to take it as an opportunity to really build our real estate and our franchise pipeline. So we're looking forward to a couple of things. For Modern Market, probably announcing our first franchisee in the next couple of months.
Exciting.
And then also we're opening a new restaurant with new line design. We did the exact same thing at Modern Market. We actually did a redesign of the line, put in a double-sided line in an existing restaurant. So we're taking those learnings and opening a new restaurant in our home state of Colorado in the fall.
Yeah.
So it's really exciting to see both brands growing, both from internally and externally with franchise. For Lemonade, it will be licensed partnerships. Excited about announcing those soon too.
Awesome. Well, I can't wait to hear more about that.
Thank
Robin
you.
Robeson, the COO of Modern Restaurant Concepts, thank you.
Thanks, Sam.